it's called The Nocturnal, and you're always like in the dark in the mist.
Yes. This is usually when I sleep during the daytime. So you got me up. Yeah, so nocturnal spelled with a K, so like knock knock.
Oh, I got it. I see.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
that's cool.
Exactly. Great, and we're recording on your end, right?
Yes, we
Just
are.
making sure. Okay, perfect. Well, yeah. Well, let's get started. I'm Dano from the Nocturnal. Pleasure to meet you. Congratulations on the upcoming season.
Thank
And yeah, so this show is based on your life. There's some fact, there's some fiction, there's a mix of the two. I won't give too much away about the new season, but there's a big role you're up for that doesn't necessarily go as expected. Is there anything from your acting career that is based off of any experiences like that, or is that totally fiction?
Yeah, well, especially in season one, there's more experiences based on my auditions, on things that they were asked for me being a Latina. Like there's all that kind of like criticism about what they expect of you, to how to look, how to sound, how to act, because you are Latina. So that did happen to me, and also what it was exactly what happened to me in real life is that I thought I was going to get this role, that it was going to change my life, or it was going to change my career here in America. In this show, that I thought, the character was really fit, who I was, that I could really put into this character a lot of myself. And so I auditioned for that role for months. Like I auditioned, I did callbacks and screen tests. And at the end, I didn't get it. And they got an Indian actress who looked more Latina than I did. So I was like, what the fuck? Like it was all, for me, it was all wrong. And it's not only about that, it's that I had so much expectation, and I was really wrong just putting all my expectations in one job, that it made me suffer a lot in that moment, because I thought like years that I was having knocking doors here in the US, that would change it. But what really, really happened was that I got so frustrated that I thought, this is never going to happen to me again. So I'm going to write a show exactly about this. So that's exactly what I did. I wrote Anna, and I wrote a show about this bilingual, bipolar, bisexual, bicoastal show, person and show that, goes between an actress that goes between two countries and two worlds, and that is completely divided, and it's between, she being very famous in her own country and not being anyone here in the US. So I wrote a little bit about all that, and that actually changed my life, because now I have the opportunity to write, to produce, to create, to show run, and that would have never happened to me if I didn't had those big expectations in the wrong moment. I don't know, in the wrong thing,
Yeah, so you mentioned going between two worlds. You've had a career in Mexico with telenovelas. You've had a career in Hollywood, in LA. You've lived in both places as well, and now you've depicted that on screen, and it is sort of a melding of the two. And there's not a lot of shows that are bilingual, take place in Mexico and the U.S. So, how important is that for you, and what sort of audience response have you seen from people who may have grown up watching telenovelas and American movies? What have they said to you about having two in one, basically?
Well, it is really interesting, especially for the audience that lives in Los Angeles or in America, that are bilingual, that are with some Latino heritage, like they're like, even like it's their first, second, or third generation. They love watching kind of like a different show that is not only about the border, or the themes that are usually they are usually portrayed, or we usually get here in the US. This is more like a show about this coming of age at 40 woman who's between two countries, who's trying to make it in Hollywood, who's and that is also a comedy, and that they're able to see locations from Mexico and from Veracruz, where I'm from, and they're also see LA in one show. I think it is very appealing and compelling to them. So they really appreciate that. They really love that. That's the combination. And then also that there's Spanish and English involved. I think it's really tricky to do kind of like these shows that they want to do Spanglish. I think it's better when you do full Spanish and full English, because I don't know, we don't really talk like that, like I just feel like it's more real when they're watching a show that's the way we communicate, yeah, I think so. But they really love it. And I know that was going to be an asset for the show, because again, like no one really goes to Veracruz, to my hometown, to shoot and to see the beautiful locations there, or like the beautiful locations in Mexico City, because me being an actress in the show, it gets other type of locations that they are not used to see, because mostly the stories that are made from Latinos are stories of conflict and border issues.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I'm from Los Angeles, and I love the city, and Mexico City is probably my second favorite city in the world. I just spent a few months there earlier this year. Yeah, I was staying in Condesa for a while.
And most of the locations are in Condesa of Anna's first and second season.
Oh yeah, I recognize all those parks. So yeah, I really appreciate that about the show, and it does show a side of Mexico that you don't see too often in mainstream shows. And maybe you could speak a little like how you feel about Los Angeles now being this home for you for a while, and Mexico City and Veracruz, and what it means to you personally to show all these locations that have been your homes throughout your life on the screen.
Yeah, that was very important, because I also wanted to like I said, I sometimes I wanted people to get confused, like, hey, listen, is she in LA or she's in Mexico City? She's in Mexico City or she's in LA? Because LA is such a Mexican state, right?
Right.
And a lot of people, my English
really bad traffic too in both.
Right.
That's what ties in.
The traffic, and also like I've been here for 17 years, right? And my English still sucks. Why? Because people in LA are, half of the people of the community here speak Spanish, so they speak to Spanish. So I don't have the need to be talking in Spanish all the time. So that's why I also wanted to have that on the show, where I can go to a restaurant and the waiter recognizes me because I'm a Mexican actress, which I actually have it on one of the scenes where I'm on a date and the guy doesn't know that I'm famous, and then suddenly all the waiters from the kitchen come out, they come out, and we're like in this Japanese restaurant or Thai restaurant, and he's just telling me about the Thai food and all that, and I'm just saying like, yeah, but all the cooks are Mexican, like like it's a Thai restaurant, but I know like all the cooks are Mexican. And he's like, no way, because he's trying to pretend that he's super cool and super chic, and I'm like, yeah, believe me. And then there's this guy coming out and asking for an autograph, which happens to me all the time. I remember one of the first times I went to New York, and I went to this super fancy French restaurant, and again, all the people from the kitchen were Mexicans, and it's like, we are the best. I don't know what this country would be without all the workers that come here to this country. So I wanted to put that also on the show, that it was very important for me to put it on the show.
So that's all good food is Mexican food. I guess that's the moral of that story. Do you have favorite restaurant in Mexico City and LA that you can think of?
Favorite restaurant in Mexico City? Well, I have a restaurant that you probably go if you go to Condesa, which is Contramar, which is a great restaurant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a
I've
seafood
been there.
restaurant. Yeah, it is incredible. But I think my favorite thing that I eat actually in Condesa, it's a street corn. It's the esquites, the corn in the streets. It's my favorite meal. So that's what I'm already also missing most of the time. And my favorite restaurant in LA, I don't know. I don't know. I think sushi in LA is really good. So I do eat. I, I I do have a lot of like Asian fusion food because it's great. Like sushi or Thai or Chinese. Like all those. This is not Asian, but like also Indian food is great. I'm not saying Indian food is Asian, but I'm just saying like all the like a lot of all these foods in LA are incredible. So that's what I consume the most.
Yeah. So your first season was recognized by GLAAD. It won an Imagen Award. And first of all, how big was that for you all to win that? And will this second season be featuring some of the same content that got it those accolades for your first season?
You know what what I thought and what I feel very proud about is that the show has a lot of especially we talk a lot about bisexuality, which actually GLAAD was very interested in that, and I think that's why maybe got a nomination, because when I had a conversation with them, they said bisexual people are the ones that are the least understood, because mostly, for example, when they say like when a man is bisexual, they just think he's gay and he doesn't accept that he likes men, right? And then women that are bisexual, they just think that they're just playing and they're not being serious, and then they're just like going through a phase. So that was very interesting for me when they gave me all that information. And also half of my writing staff were queer, and also my sister is, so I had a lot of people around me. And also I also had an experience with a girl too, so I did have a lot of insight to do a show that talk about that, but at the same time we did never wanted the show to be about that. It's just as how life is. And so I really wanted this show. I always was interested that, especially with men, I wanted that my love interest to be bisexual, and I thought it was very interesting to have. And also you brought a lot of comedy that the main guy was bisexual, because then later in second season I forget about that, and then I get kind of like a surprise later on, right? But I loved how people, it was never an issue, and people, straight people fell in love of Papacito, the lead guy, that it was bisexual, and that was never the discussion. They just loved the character, and that was it. It wasn't like, oh, but he's bisexual, she shouldn't be with him. And I thought it was a lot of work during the writing, that we were very careful with writing that, so we would be very respectful, but at the same time it was just the way he was, and it wasn't an issue. And so yeah, that's why I was very honored that it was nominated on a GLAAD, with the GLAAD Awards.
Yeah. So I really love how this show is just how life is. That's the way these characters are, and you just accept them, warts and all, and their faults and things they accomplish as well. But it is mainly about you, and there are funny moments, there are heartbreaking moments, there's really embarrassing moments. I assume some of those are just pulled from personal experiences. Were there anything that you're like, oh man, this is going to be a tough personal experience to put on screen for all these people to see? This is TMI, I'm too embarrassed, but let's just go ahead and do it anyways.
Actually, for me was the opposite. I
Okay.
did sometimes I wanted to, like, what else do I have that it was terrible to put on? Because I think from the most terrible moments, that's when people like people laugh when you fall, when you literally fell down, like, or when you trip or something, like people naturally laugh. Like we laugh out of like other people's suffers. So I was always looking for the worst experiences to put on the show, the most embarrassing experiences, and because I don't mind talking about them, and also especially because the audience doesn't know if that really happened to me or not, like, because I was very clear since I was writing the show that I was gonna say, some of them happened to me, some of them didn't never happened. So I can kind of like hide, behind fiction, and a lot of them did happen to me, and a lot of them never happened to me, and it's just, I won't tell which ones. Or sometimes I can say, yeah, this happened to me and I don't mind, but no, I don't care sharing those things. That's why I wanted to do the show, because I wanted to empathize with the audience, and I wanted to share my experiences with everyone. So I just felt like being an actor and being a public figure would make it very interesting, because I could have made myself to being someone else, just not make it be an actress. But it was easier for me to write from there, from that perspective, because there's more stakes on being a public figure than when you're not.
Right. When I was watching the pilot, there's a scene about your mother telling you you were born in front of a room of gynecologists getting trained. So basically born to be a star in front of a bunch of people. And I thought that's definitely got to be true, or at least true that your mom said that. So
yes.
Is that true, or is that a secret? You're not going to tell me if that's fact or fiction.
That is true. That is true. The only thing is that the only thing that changed is that it wasn't while I was giving birth, but it was while she would go to the gynecologist, and people would go there and take pictures and during the process. And then she suddenly, because I was a very big baby, I was born almost 10 pounds. So I had to be a C-section. I don't know how to say that. So the only place who would make it in that time was on the public hospitals, they were free. So that's why my mom would need to go to that hospital. I wasn't born in a private hospital. I was born kind of like in a public hospital, which then that's why the students could go and learn, the students of the medical students, or the I don't know. They would go and take pictures of my mother's vagina, and I was there. It was me inside, like
peeking out.
Peeking out. So that's why she said to me that I was used to cameras since I was a baby.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great story. So the show incorporates a lot of social media into it. It's a big part of the show, and each character, your characters are often introduced with their social media. Is that something that's a big part of your life, or something that you think about a lot? And how's that factor into your life?
No, it was more about, like, it was very easy a way to and very effective way to introduce a character, because you can tell a lot from a social media profile who's that person, how many people follow that person, what's their profile picture, what's maybe the quote that they put on the profile, how many people they follow. I just feel like in 2 seconds, in one image, tells you a lot about the character. So I thought it was, we thought it was a wise way and fun way to introduce each character in the show through their social media profile.
Great. And last question I have is, just what should we be excited about for not only this upcoming season, but also future roles that you have? Is there going to be a Nacho Libre 2 or Twin Peaks season 4, anything like that? Or what are you excited about? What should we be excited about?
I wish that there's Nacho Libre 2. The people ask me about that, and I actually at some point they talked about it. I don't know. I would love to. I don't know. Probably it would be funny to play a nun this year. But
To go
I
from
would
this
love
to being a nun again would be funny.
It would be amazing. I love to play a nun because I was in Oaxaca with Jack Black and we would eat so much and I didn't care because I was in the nun costume that I didn't care, to gain any weight. So I was very happy about that. But the prequel, the animated prequel of Army of the Dead will come out soon, which, probably a lot of fans are excited. I don't think Twin Peaks will, I don't know. And I had such a small role there, but it was a dream come true to work with David Lynch. And yeah, and I have another show coming out on Peacock, I think in November. It's called Leopard Skin next to Carla Gugino. So that's gonna be, I hope people watch it too. So yeah, pretty much that's all I can share right now.
Amazing. Well, I'm excited. We're all excited, and it was such a pleasure meeting you. And thank you for taking the time to talk with me. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you for watching and for this interview. It means a lot.
Of course, and I'll let you know if I have any food recs if I go back to Mexico City anytime soon.
What? Food right? Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Like I'm so happy that you actually spend time in Mexico. That's super cool. A lot of people are doing that right now. Like a lot of people from America go to Mexico City because
I brought all my friends to Mexico City. I'm like in love with that place.
It is incredible. But actually, right now I'm like living more in Tepoztlan. When I go, have you go to Tepoztlan?
No, I haven't. I've been to Puebla, but
Puebla. Yeah, you should check out Tepoztlan. It's like an hour from Mexico City. It's a beautiful place where a lot of like the UFOs are seen. So it's like very magical, and then there's like huge mountains. It's really good for a weekend.
Great. Well, I'll make sure to go and check out for those UFOs.
Check the UFOs. Yes.
All right. All right.
Bye.
Pleasure.
Bye.
All right. Have a good one. Bye bye.
You too.